The top scorer for the U.S. has been cleared to play in the round of 16, but now there's an argument unfolding. On the bus to their final training session in Seattle, the American men learned striker Flo Balogun's red card suspension had been lifted in time for tonight's round of 16 game against Belgium. But now the Belgian Soccer Federation has been allowed to appeal that decision.
We were punished enough against Bosnia-Herzegovina to play with 10 men, 30 minutes.
Fox News confirms FIFA's judicial body suspended the one-game ban after President Trump called the organization's president asking for the red card to be reviewed. A member of FIFA's appeals committee will now hear the case, and a final decision could be made before kickoff.
It's one thing to penalize somebody for the game, but how do you penalize them for a game that hasn't been played yet?
Earlier this year, FIFA deferred bans for multiple international players ahead of their World Cup openers. But those decisions rarely happen during the tournament, and other coaches are pushing back.
What about the next red card? Is there going to be some committee somewhere that is going to take that card away?
Still, no matter who takes the pitch for the U.S., Seattle says it's ready to host its final match.
It's the vibe, it's the feeling, it's the hope that we brought to the community.
If the U.S. wins tonight, it will be the second team in the country's history to make the quarterfinals. In Seattle, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Chanting death to America, death to Israel. Hundreds of thousands of mourners gathered in the streets of Tehran Monday to honor the country's late supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who was killed at an airstrike at the start of the war.
We are here to show that his path will continue, and every single one of these people will continue down his path with clenched fists, and soon we will certainly avenge his death against the U.S. and Israel.
Peace talks are currently on hold while the country mourns, but the large turnout of pro-regime supporters could empower Iranian negotiators to dig in their heels and go back on some of their concessions, especially on their nuclear program.
It's not by accident. On those streets, they're chanting death to Israel, death to America. I don't think they've changed one iota.
The next round of peace talks is expected to begin this weekend, most likely in Pakistan. Until then, President Trump is focused on NATO and heads to Turkey tonight for its annual summit, where he's expected to continue to berate European allies for not doing more to support the U.S. in its fight to keep Iran from getting a nuclear weapon.
NATO's lack of clear support was a really low blow to the U.S. So President Trump is going to be there with some very tough love for NATO, and this is a great chance for them to show that they want to move forward.
And the clock is still ticking for Iran to make a final nuclear deal. There's only 41 days left in the current ceasefire. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
This upcoming visit will be Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's 7th to the United States to meet President Donald Trump, and it comes at a critical time. Crucially, Netanyahu hasn't been to the U.S. since before the U.S. and Israel launched the joint opening strikes of the Iran war, and we have seen divisions grow between the two world leaders, especially when it comes to how to handle Iran. President Donald Trump has pushed for negotiations. We saw him sign that memorandum of understanding that gives 60 days for negotiations towards a ceasefire agreement, with even some suggestion that it could be extended beyond that if there is no final deal at the end of that. Meanwhile, Netanyahu has pushed for strikes against Iran as he wants to see this war continue and has long been skeptical of Iran's intentions behind these negotiations. We have also seen differences on Lebanon. Trump has effectively drawn a border and a boundary around what Israel is allowed to do when it comes to going after Hezbollah in Lebanon, even as Netanyahu is under domestic pressure to go after Hezbollah and to widen the strikes there. So there again, you see a rift between the two. Nevertheless, in an interview earlier on Sunday on Fox News, Netanyahu downplayed the divisions between the men.
He does what's good for America. I'm the leader of Israel, the one and only Jewish state. I do what's good for Israel. 99% of the time, we see eye to eye. But in any family, in any close friendship, there are sometimes differences of opinion, and we discuss them openly, I can tell you, in a free spirit, and usually we resolve them too.
It's worth pointing out that on Saturday, Trump told Axios that Netanyahu, quote, knows who the boss is. So Trump once again asserting his power over Netanyahu and, frankly, his ability to make decisions that bind Netanyahu. An Israeli source said there will be a couple of other issues on the agenda. Iran, of course, is at the top of that list, but so is the security agreement between the U.S. and Israel, the memorandum of understanding that gives Israel $3.8 billion a year from the United States. That's set to expire in 2028, and that has been a major topic for Netanyahu, and it will be over the next couple of years here. Another topic on the agenda, normalization between Israel and Saudi Arabia. This is something Trump has pushed for, but Saudi has made it clear they won't consider normalizing with Israel unless there's a viable path to a Palestinian state, something Netanyahu has outright rejected. Oren Lieberman, CNN in Jerusalem.
Zoe Santander has not seen her son in 10 days. They were separated in the twin quakes that shook Venezuela on June 24th, but her 9-year-old Xavier was trapped under the rubble. 4 days later, she saw a video of a child being rescued at night. She believes it was her son, but in the chaos that followed, she hasn't been able to find him. She's not going to rest, but from here, there is little she can do.
This used to be a golf course. La Guaira was a tourist hotspot by the Caribbean Sea. And so here is where tourists will come and play golf and relax. Now, of course, it's a tent city for hundreds of displaced, many of whom actually used to live there in those blocks. And every day they wake up and they see their homes and flats broken down by the brutality of the earthquakes.
Shayna Ceballos is also looking for a loved one. She's lost hope of finding her mother alive, but will not leave the golf course until she recovers her remains.
If I had the money, I'd dig her out, but I have none.
This is what's left of Shayna's home, an entire life shattered in an instant. Now, like her, thousands of Venezuelans are only beginning to grasp the magnitude of this catastrophe.
Before this tragedy, Venezuela was already in a deep humanitarian crisis, facing chronic shortages of food and medicines. War Central Kitchen has been operating here since 2019. In response to the earthquake, they have stepped up with free meals for survivors and volunteers.
Can you describe a moment that Venezuela is right now when it's been 10 days since the earthquake?
The numbers keep increasing, and we are still in the first phase of the operation. I would say this is still the emergency phase, and our teams are still finding the exact numbers so we can get the amount of meals needed to cover all the need.
Survivors and relatives of the victims have criticized the government response as inadequate and delayed. Many point to the armed forces, who they say showed up too late or didn't do enough.
Our officials were deployed immediately. You can count the hours between the quakes and when we signed the emergency decree. There were 4,000 officials out in the first 24 hours, 10,000 officials the following day.
The government also laying out credit agreements with the International Monetary Fund and plans to begin the reconstruction. But at the golf course in La Guaira, the present is too dark to look ahead.
Now I just want to find her remains. To think about the future makes no sense.
Stefano Pozzebon, CNN, La Guaira, Venezuela.
Cars are shattered and the smell of smoke still hangs in the air after illegal fireworks sent 5 people to the hospital, and neighbors say sent concrete pieces like this flying across the courtyard.
It was like, wow, I hear like a bomb exploded.
Star Prairie Court shook Saturday night when police say 4th of July fireworks exploded, sending debris up to 80 yards away.
I was scared, my dogs start like barking, and I said, I better go outside and check it out what happened,
So I just heard like a big boom. It was pretty loud, and then next thing you know, I'm hearing the alarm on my truck go off.
Neighbors soon saw 4 ambulances and 2 fire engines giving emergency medical treatment to 5 people ages 34 to 67. Police say those 5 were taken to the hospital and are expected to survive, but with serious injuries.
The illegal ones, while they look cool, are dangerous, and people do get injured.
Officials say alcohol was involved when illegal mortars were lit outside of the manufacturer's instructions.
They had a mortar, and they probably kind of put some cinder blocks around it just to hold it down in place. and then the mortar probably didn't fire properly, and it just sent debris everywhere, And then earlier today, there was like pieces of like cinder block all over the street.
Sergio Mondragon's car is one of 6 damaged by the blast, with the home taking damage as well.
Kind of shattered the whole back of my windshield, and then there's like a dent right here on the tailgate too that just shattered. And then earlier today, there was like pieces of like cinder block all over the street. They cleaned it up, but there was like chunks, big chunks on.
Salem Police's bomb squad responded, along with the felony crimes unit. Investigators are still piecing together who bought the mortars and who lit them. They haven't determined if charges will be filed.
They always can end worse. I think in this particular case, it ended pretty badly. If you think about it, when you look at the number of people that were injured, it's bad enough as is.
Julia Lopez, Fox 12 Oregon.
The atmosphere is incredible. It's amazing. Something that I've never seen before. I didn't expect it to be this great, but I'm so happy. Yeah, absolutely.
I think Paraguay performed better than I expected. I was hoping that the French team is going to perform much better than what they did. I think they could have done more. They controlled the field, but they didn't press enough. The Paraguay, I think they didn't have enough passion to win the game. I think they gave up from the first minute, and after the goal, I mean, that's it. They were just not doing that great.
Una locura, un orgullo igual. Para nosotros como paraguayos jugar contra un grande como Francia es un orgullo. Dieron todo y eso era lo único que queríamos, que dieran todo.
Emocionalmente, importante. Esperamos ganar, pero este trabajo de Mbappé fue todo un trabajo para que ellos puedan ganar.
Oh, they played awesome. My boy came through. He's my boy. Look, that's my boy. He did great. We're going to the next round.
Eu gosto muito de futebol e eu sou Brasil até o último segundo. Até o último segundo eu estava acreditando no Brasil. E é uma emoção, é frustrante, é triste, mas faz parte do esporte. Então, acreditando ou não, a gente tem que aceitar.
O Brasil vai fazer a sua pior campanha em Copas do Mundo em 36 anos. O Brasil não caía tão cedo na Copa.
Honestly, it was just the most amazing match. It was exactly what we hoped it would be. They attacked really early on. They did so well. They came out fighting the whole time. Brazil is an amazing team, absolutely amazing, and Norway did so well.
Ända högre. Givnar! Givnar, yeah! Yeah!
kind of feel it's Nordic at least. It's from the Vikings back in 1,000 years ago.
In the Viking period. The short answer is they didn't have horned helmets at all. We do not actually know to what extent they actually used helmets. We only got one single helmet from Viking Scandinavia. One single. So probably it wasn't a common thing.
Holland, Holland, come on! Norway!
When the Viking Age had a renaissance in the mid-19th century, they didn't have anything to relate the Vikings to in archaeological terms. They had no artifacts, no Viking weapons to look at. So the first Vikings depicted imaginary Vikings. They were like Roman soldiers or Greek warriors or at best medieval warriors. Then in the 1840s, the helmet with the horns occurred. Been sentenced to death and attacked Midday. Horns had a special meaning in the Viking Age. Horns were important, and horns were drinking horns. And we find them in the graves and the burials, and we usually find them in pairs too, because they were probably for creating alliances. So drinking horns were for drinking, but also for making political solutions.
Here you go. Whoops, one of the classic horned helmets. None of them were ever horned helmets. And that's logical because they were real warriors, and having a horned helmet on is not really helping you to protect your body. I mean, it's more the opposite. But these horned helmets existed. And they existed as a ritual aspect 2,000 or 1,000 years before Christ. That means 2,000 years before the Vikings. In Bronze Age rituals, they used horned helmets to symbolize this connection between human and animals, to shape a being that is more than just one.
the horns were part of creating an idea of the bestiality of the Vikings. Nowadays we are getting more and more aware that the Vikings were actually quite civilized and not that different from their Anglo-Saxon and Frankish neighbors. Viking culture was basically a maritime culture, and rowing is very important. It's not only individual rowing, but rowing together. You'll have to listen how to row together with the other. So it's a social thing too, and it's very important when sailing a Viking ship. Even if it has a sail, you'll mostly be rowing.
Don't mind me, I'm just trying to stimulate my brain's sensory motor network with my feet.
Heading off the backstretch for the final time.
Nike used to be all about making you run faster, jump higher, just do it. Now it's entered the neuro-wearable segment. These shoes, the Nike Mind, are designed to improve mental focus and reduce stress. Nike says they tune down the part of the brain responsible for mind wandering. These foam nodes, 22 in total per shoe, are supposed to stimulate sensory nerves on the feet. They also stimulate conversation. Would you wear them?
No.
What are they?
They are mind-altering shoes.
It looks like an indoor slipper. Or like maybe something you'd wear to the beach?
It's just weird, looking, but I will say that because it's you pull it off.
That's why we're friends.
Nike's the first company to create a team like the Mind Science department.
Nike is struggling in the competitive space of sportswear and athleisure. Shares are down 74% over the last 5 years. It may be losing its footing on our feet, but now it's trying to get inside our heads with wearable tech. Or should that be wearable wellness?
The wearable technologies at present, most of them, what they're trying to do is that they're trying to use more batteries, more electronics inside the wearables. But this technology is different in a sense that this is a passive neuro wearable technology in my view.
Well, I can tell you that these shoes are comfortable, a little bit hot, but are they mind-altering? I don't even know how you could quantify that, but I can tell you that my mind has been almost 100% focused on the fact that I am wearing these.
Oh, those are really ugly shoes.
Oh, wow, straight out there.
Sorry, Nike, won't be wearing them anytime soon.
Well, today they've been attention stealers rather than attention focusers, and so far I feel no change in stress levels. You know, I think feet up rather than shoes on probably works best for me. Anna Stewart, CNN, London.
NBC Universal parent Comcast is expanding. Its Sky unit will buy ITV's Media and Entertainment unit for up to $2.1 billion. ITV Studios produces shows like Britain's Got Talent and Love Island. The deal follows Comcast's decision to separate its media from its tech business. The Wall Street Journal says even AI companies are pulling back warnings of mass employment reductions. Consulting firm EY Parthenon says the percentage of CEOs who believe AI investments will result in significant reductions in headcount is at 20%. Down from 46% more than a year ago. Meanwhile, consumer products are getting an AI makeover. Reuters says L'Oreal used AI to find out that some molecules used in skincare can make shampoo work better. Nestle, Mondelez, and other consumer companies are using AI to innovate faster and cut costs while adapting to customer tastes. L'Oreal says it started using AI in its labs 4 years ago. And Reuters says it was a coup for Parisian fashion house Christian Dior to dress both Taylor Swift and husband Travis Kelce for their wedding. Dior now has an edge in its rivalry with Chanel for fashion's most coveted celebrity endorsements. CJ Papa, Fox News.
The days are longer, the nights packed with summer fun, and if your sleep is out of whack, you're not alone.
Your body can go back to a natural circadian rhythm. It helps, though, if you prepare a little bit.
Sleep medicine Dr. Chafin Hart with National Jewish Health says having a regular sleep schedule is just as important, if not more critical, than the amount of Z's achieved at night.
Not only do people feel better if they have a regular schedule, but we also think this decreases their chances of cardiovascular events later in life and dementia.
Hart says if you're planning to be up later than normal, try sleep banking. Take a nap no longer than 30 minutes in the early afternoon and avoid late heavy meals and alcohol, which can both impact sleep. She says limiting caffeine use is also important. Avoid it after midday.
The caffeine might help you stay up late, but you'll still feel more tired the next day.
You may have a hard time falling asleep if you've just done something exciting, so Hart says before turning in, decompress a bit, take time to relax the brain and body before trying to go to sleep, and even if you're tired, she says the best thing you can do is wake up within 30 minutes of the time you normally do. It can help keep your brain's sleep schedule on track. Finally, if you're losing sleep this summer, don't stress about it.
Don't worry if you have a night or two where you don't get enough sleep. You'll make up for it. It will be okay, and you'll get back on track.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
They're stuck in this terrible situation, and that has such a strong bond to it.
You need till the end, right? Hey.
To the end, sweetheart.
Conozca a Joseph Seira, quien interpreta a Hamish Abernathy, el personaje de Woody Harrelson, en su juventud en la nueva película The Hunger Games, Sunrise of the Reaping. La precuela, ambientada durante el segundo vallasaje de los 24 años antes de la película original. Esta llegará a los cines el 20 de noviembre.
I love you so much. A love only the branch of a willow tree could conjure.
Al público le encanta Obsession, la película de terror sobrenatural realizada con un presupuesto de apenas $750,000, ha superado los $400 millones en la taquilla mundial, superando a Sinners como la 15ª película de terror más taquillera de todos los tiempos. Y su éxito continúa. Obsession ha permanecido en el top 10 de la taquilla del fin de semana en Estados Unidos desde su estreno en cines a mediados de mayo. Con el Minuto Hollywood, soy Berta Ramos.
You each had an agreement, yes? To be able to have sex with a certain celebrity given the opportunity.
Yes, exactly.
And Tom went too far in the back of a bookstore.
Yes, wow. So what do I do?
Zoe Deutsch plays a bride-to-be on a mission in Gail Daughtry and the Celebrity Sex Pass.
I had a celebrity free pass thing with my fiance, but he took it literally. So now I need to have sex with John Hamm to even out the score and save my relationship.
We made this movie very fast, but here in LA, which was another dream of mine, you know, also to work with them, but to shoot here with the crew that we got, and the level of artists and people that worked on this film was just like incredible.
Hey, I'm John. What's up?
The film's creative duo have a method to coming up with their stories.
We work 12-hour days for 7 days straight, and the idea is on day one we come in with no ideas, and by the end of day one we decide on an idea. Day two we outline that idea, and then day 3 through 7 we write 20 pages a day until we have a first draft of a script.
You are just a girl from Kansas trying to do I don't know what.
Have sex with John Hamm.
Like a celebrity pass thing?
Exactly.
Good luck with that.
In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
on the water.
Tense moments over the airwaves after a seaplane loaded with passengers made a hard landing in New York City's East River. Just moments before, video captured the small plane coming startlingly close to an NYPD chopper in the air. And moments later, video from inside the plane showed the jarring landing as it came down in the water between Manhattan and Brooklyn, where officials quickly responded.
We got two boats approaching. Looks like the pilot is okay. I can't tell if there's any more passengers.
The FDNY says a total of 8 people were helped off the plane. 2 reportedly suffered minor injuries. It's unclear what led to the hard landing, but the FAA says it caused a wing strut to snap. Another unsettling exchange over the airways captured the moment a Delta flight inbound to Chicago was reportedly struck by a firework on July 4th.
Tower, we just had a firework hit our plane. We're just hoping it was just the mortar that went off underneath, but definitely felt a big bang.
Delta said the plane, which was inbound from Atlanta, landed safely with no reported injuries. Air traffic controllers said there had been multiple reports of similar incidents and that local officials had been notified. No word on if the incident was the result of fireworks foul play or just 4th of July friendly fire, but the FAA is investigating. Finally, one last trip ended not with a bang, but a very big splash as locals in Hawaii gave a moonlit hero's welcome to rower Kelsey Fendler, who completed a 2,400-mile rowing trip from California to Honolulu. Fendler completed the journey in just 43 days, which, if confirmed, would make her a new world record holder. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Some people like their food fast. Others, like John and Jerry Carroll.
That's correct, yes.
Prefer to make the most of a morning.
Well, we have breakfast down here every Friday with our friends.
So you haven't gone home yet, huh?
By the time McDonald's started serving breakfast, John and Jerry had already been married for nearly 30 years.
We had an 80th anniversary on the 18th of April.
And Jerry just reached a milestone of her own.
I did. Last Sunday, I turned 100.
John is 101 and a World War II veteran. Actually, you may have seen him before.
Up until recently, I was coming in here, sitting in the floor at 4 o'clock in the morning and touching my toes.
We shared his story back in December. Well, guess what?
I did my toe touches 200 times this morning, 4 o'clock.
Some people change their order. John Carroll apparently does not.
For breakfast, we usually eat the Egg McMuffin with sausage.
Others bring a little something of their own. Yep, that's a slice of tomato.
Well, the group now has evolved.
Yeah, it is.
Every Friday. We just love them. They've been here for a long time.
All right, how you doing? Sit down. You're going to be on TV. Yeah. And then I was in the service nearly 3 years, and so it's part of it.
John served our country, celebrating its 250th birthday this weekend. For nearly a third of that history, he's been spending his life with Jerry.
Treat your wife nice and try to help her all you can and work hard. That's all. We've had our ups and downs over the years, but we still made it.
At a McDonald's, they call it a combo. John and Jerry Carroll have ordered it for 80 years.
Fox 54 Plus has your news, sports, and weather. Start your evening with Fox 54 at 5:30, delivering the latest headlines and live reports straight from the scene. Then, stay informed with Fox 54 News at 9, featuring your Tennessee Valley certified most accurate weather impact team, tracking everything from tornado threats to traffic delays during severe weather. Fox 54 Sports Extra brings you more of what sports fans crave, with deeper insights, expert analysis, and all the action that matters most. On Fox 54 Plus, you'll also find Alabama politics, Plus, 24/7 weather radar and real-time forecasts to keep you ahead of the storm. Looking for a quick recap? Don't miss Fox 54 Week in Review, highlighting the biggest stories of the week. Jumpstart your morning with Morning Rush. Fast-paced news updates, featured with uplifting stories from across the globe. Get your entertainment fix with Getting Real, where we break down movie reviews, top 10 lists, and spotlight the newest film. Die Hard fan? Locked On Sports dives deep into the Crimson Tide, the Tigers, college rivalries, and pro action. True crime warrior style? Killer Cases brings you gripping real-life stories that stick with you. Hungry for more? Cooking with Style serves up mouth-watering recipes that are easy to make and impossible to resist. From movie previews before you head to the theater with Take a Look to must-know headlines from across the region and around the world with In the News. Watch all of these shows on demand and also on the Fox 54 News app. Available on Android and iOS devices. Streaming 24/7.
There's more to Fox 54 Plus with the Locked On Podcast Network. From the Tide to the Tigers, from college teams to pro. The Locked On Podcast Network gives you insights and analysis you just can't find anywhere else.
These kids, they want to play.
But I don't think so. I think it was Chad Baker-Mazara.
Locked On Sports, streaming every day of the week and right here on Fox 54 Plus.
This is what he's going to tell you.
Trying to find the first place to put a body.
No, sir. The only thing they could do was kill him.
The jury and to find the defendant